I want to talk to you for a little bit today from the topic, the weight is lifted during the wait. The weight is lifted during the wait. If you live in my house, I've been with my wife for 14, almost 15 years now, and if you lived in my house, you would have been able to see Sister Act and Sister Act 2 multiple times. It's, you would get the chance to know every song by heart, and you would sit on the couch and turn off the PlayStation. Samuel, you feel me? It got me there. Turn it off, because we gonna watch Sister Act 2. It's almost Shakespearean, if you ask me. But there's a scene in that movie that I was thinking about this week. There was a scene in that movie. I could go down a little bit. There's a scene in that movie that I was thinking about this week, and it was when Lauryn Hill, before she was part of the Fugees, and Tanya Blount are singing. And she called, they're in the cathedral, she calls Lauryn in. And they sing a song that is a classic. It says, his eye is on the sparrow. And I love the lyrics to that song, Jermaine. I think we reserve it for funerals now. Like, I go to a lot of funerals. When I go to funerals, I hear it, but I think it should be a song that ingratiates to our spirit, because the lyrics are quite simple. It says, his eyes on the why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend he is, his eye is on the sparrow. So I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. For his eye is on the sparrow, and I know. But that song creates a juxtaposition in my life, Jason, because what happens to the seasons that I'm waiting? If I know that God's eyes are watching me, if I believe that God is looking at me, if I believe that God is taking care of a blade of grass, why do we find waiting so detestable? I know, Howard, second Sunday of August in 2013 was my first Sunday as a pastor of this great church. It was the first Sunday. Amen. Thank you. That's why I should have had my stool, boy. You need one person got your back. But I bring that up to say this. Howard, I was typical New Yorker. I had the whole plan worked out. We're gonna come in, we're gonna preach, it's gonna happen, this, that, and third. I preached hard too. Preached real hard. And nothing happened. Let me say nothing happened. Nothing the way I envisioned it happened. I kept preaching. Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. Had the 24-hour prayer meeting. Sister Beatty, God bless her, she was the only one that showed up. No, you got. I was in here for 24 hours. Jermaine, I don't know if I was tired or delirious, but I think people drove by to make sure I stayed here all night. They wanted to see if I was waiting. But the reality is that over the last 9 years, I've learned something valuable from God, that sometimes my season that I feel like I'm waiting to get on the other side is where God starts pulling the weight off of me that I should have never had on my back. Let me say that again for somebody. In your season of waiting, God is taking things off of your back, things that are pressuring you, baggage that you have in your life. You think you're waiting in vain. You think you're waiting for the other side. You think the blessing is there. But in this season of waiting, he's removing relationships and issues and problems, and he's setting you up for the next thing. So don't despise the season of waiting. Since this is not Tony Evans talking, I will use a Bible verse. In the book of Psalms, the 33rd chapter, I want to really describe how this weight is pulled off of you. You go to Psalm 33, verses 14 through 22, it says, "From where he sits enthroned, he looks out on all inhabitants of the earth. He who fashions the heart of them all, and observes all their deeds. The king is not saved by his great army. A warrior is not delivered by his great strength. The war horse is a false hope for salvation, and by its great might it cannot rescue. Behold, the eye of the Lord is on those who fear him, on those who hope in his steadfast love, that he may deliver their souls from death and keep them alive in the famine. Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and our shield. For our heart is glad in him because we trust in his holy name. Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope in you." I would be hard-pressed right now. Let me be honest with you. I struggle with waiting still. Now, I am a product of our culture. You read the book, you try the technique, you need the answer. You write the plan, you go ahead, you do it, you expect the result. You envision, you do positive thinking, you envision that you will walk in and do this and that and third, and it doesn't work out that way. Because I will watch people, and let me give you an example. On social media, people assume if they make a video, it should go viral. I should get likes. I do something, I should get the result that I envisioned. I went to school, I should get the job I deserve. I've been here for a while, I should be promoted. And you sit back, and I'll be honest, waiting is so hard because we live in a culture that despises waiting. We live in a culture where we are always in compare and contrast with the neighbors. The neighbors go there, I'm going there. If you doing that, I'm doing that. If you buy that, I'm buying that. We legitimately don't know how to wait. And it gets exacerbated. I'm going to caution you right now. I've seen this happen. Some of us rush into relationships because we can't wait. I'm going to talk about it now. You got your cab light on. They got their cab light on. Don't mean you're all in the same cab. You got your cab light on. They got their cab light on. You want to be in a relationship. They want to be in a relationship. You want to be married. They want to be married. That's great that you all share the same desires, but you all share nothing else in common. And instead of waiting, you waste time. Instead of waiting, you look up and you're like, why am I here? And I hear this time, live a little longer, time again. So many of us rush into things just because we can't wait. The thing that I realize now as I get older, and this is not like what, this took a long time and a lot of mistakes to get there, is who am I waiting with? Let me explain. Are we waiting with social media? Am I waiting with comparison? Am I waiting with the next great book I read? Am I waiting with friends? Let me tell you something, parenthetically insert. If your friends have no experience in a situation, they're giving you hypotheticals. I have friends that are experts. I have friends that don't go to church but tell me how to be a pastor. How about we try waiting with God? And it doesn't, it sounds simple, Howard. It really does. It really does. People say, oh, I could wait with God. No, you can't. Because we get so distracted with all our desires, all the people around us, all the sources, everything we're seeing online, that we rush into situations because we want to be that. But one thing I've learned, Jenny, one thing I've learned that so clearly is that sometimes me sitting and waiting with God is the best thing I can do. It says it so plainly in the text. It says, from where he sits enthroned, he looks out all the inhabitants. He who fashions his heart, he observes all their deeds. I need to have faith in my walk with Jesus Christ. I need to be walking with Jesus Christ in an active way that I don't feel the pressures of the world to move in the same way. This is where my personal walk with God, I can preach. I'm going to preach till about 10:35 because we got communion. And I can preach my heart out. But your personal walk with God during the week is what is the hedge of protection against all those things that put. You could replay the sermon, you could do all that, but when you start knowing the Bible verses, when you start singing songs like we sang today, when you know those things that will hit your heart in the right way, that when the enemy attacks, when life comes at you, when you have to make these hard decisions, when you have to decide what you're going to wait on or what you're going to go with, this is the place where you look at God and you say, God, how do I move right here? How many of us make life-changing decisions and never prayed about it? I'm a pastor, so I'm going to tell you what I know, Jermaine. Look, because I often hear people say, can you pray for me after they made the decision? And sometimes, after it's the third time they've dived into the situation, it'd be like, maybe we should start off by praying before we dive in the pool. You can't keep calling the lifeguard. Even my son Henry understands. He goes to the pool, he waits for his father before he walks into the pool. How many of us are waiting for our Father in heaven to walk into the pool? I'm working, I'm trying, man, I'm trying. I need us, as we really live our lives, to stop jumping in the pool without asking God. And you can't pray some people say you can't pray every decision, but I believe you can. I haven't gotten there yet, but you at least should pray the major ones. The major ones. The ones that actually have you up thinking. Those are the ones that before you make them, you should pray. I've seen so many people go wrong when they don't add prayer to their mix. So when you get that next job package, you decide where you got to move, or you have to deal with your parents as they age, and you got to do all of these other things. This is where your prayer life gets deeper and more profound. Because before you dive into the pool that has all the emotions and all the feedback and everything, you need a hedge, which is God. So who are you waiting with? The next thing is, what doesn't work, what doesn't work, what doesn't work. It's quite interesting in this text. It gives you 4 things that doesn't work. It says, the king is not saved by his great army. The warriors are delivered by his great strength. The war horse is false hope of salvation. By its great might, it cannot rescue. Let's break this down. The 4 things that don't work. The first thing that doesn't work is the resources outside of you can't save you. Read what it says in the text, Howard. It's really right plain there. It says, the king is not saved by his great army. Sometimes we think if we can marshal all the resources in the world, and trust me, if you live in this area, we have more resources to do things. We know more people work, more people study things. We have more resources than the average American to do stuff. So it's hard sometimes for us not to lean out of ourselves because of our education and where we live and the resources we have to just try to figure it out. But the great army doesn't save the king. A warrior is not delivered by his great strength. You can't do it by yourself. Now, I know we live in America, and I know individualism is the key word. Pull yourself up by bootstraps. I don't know who that was for. That wasn't for me. By my sneaker laces. But so many of us, we've studied, we've worked, we've achieved, we've earned, we read books at a great level, we know all the latest research, and then when we get to our own situations, we wonder why it never works out the way we think it should. It's an old adage, doctor, you can't heal yourself. Doctors can't diagnose themselves because they think they got it under control. But so many of us need to give up this self-reliance that's been ingrained in us in culture and start believing that we need to lean into God. If so many of us actually let go, it's hard. Because it's so counter to everything we do. Many of us never let go. Many of us actually control more and more. Think about it. As you go up the job market and you become CEO, your job is to control more. That's the whole goal, right? So everything we are geared towards is to control more. And I'm telling you that sometimes these battles that you're waiting on, you've got to let them go to God, and it's so counterintuitive. I'll tell you one thing that frustrates me in California is the driving. I'm really, the driving. Some people here don't know how to drive. I know some people say, well, New Yorkers don't know how to drive. We don't crash as much as y'all. And I will be in the car with my wife, and she'll get very frustrated when people just stop in the middle of the road and don't go, and and they don't turn, and they have their indicator on, and they let the raccoon, the cat, the child, the kid, you had the turn signal on for 15 minutes. And she'll be like, wind the window down and tell them go. She says it in a very nice voice, though. She does. And I'm like, why? I'm not going to change how that person drives. I just got to let this moment go. Imagine if so many of us let moments go that frustrated us like that. Okay, I can't fix how that person drives. I can't fix how that person talks. I can't fix this. I'm just going to have to wait on the Lord to address that. The war horse is false hope of salvation. The long shot hope. So many people always look for magic bullets to fix things. If I take this trip, if I take this course, if I switch this job, if I do this, it will fix everything. The wise people in AA have this saying that I think is wise for the church. Wherever you go, you are. Yo, mister, let me try it again. No matter where you move, no matter the job you switch, no matter the magic bullet you take to fix something, wherever you go, you are. So you are going to bring the problem with you. You thought the magic bullet was going to fix you. If I live here, it'll be better. If I get this job, I'll be better. And I think so many of us lack self-reflection to say, God, I need to wait on you because I need you to fix this thing that's in my heart. Fix this trauma. Fix this relational issue. Fix this work issue. Fix whatever is inside of me because I can't do it no more. And switching to a new job, switching to a new position, moving to a new place, getting the magic bullet to fix it is not going to fix me. When we wait on the Lord, he starts lifting things off of us. So many of us need to pray to God to relieve trauma instead of a new job. Because you probably have your new job for 3 years. Getting rid of trauma will be a lifetime. You will relate better with people. Your relationships will be healthier. God will move in a new way. And we need to ask God to start pulling the trauma and the issue and the baggage off of us instead of us trying to figure it out. Because we've tried time and time again to do magic bullet things like switching jobs and switching relationships, and it never pays off. So many of us wonder, if I just do this one thing, it'll fix it all. And what God is telling us is that's a false hope. And great might cannot rescue you. Money can't save you. Some of us will throw money at a situation and hope it fixes. I'll get the best tutors. I'll get the best this. I'll get the best. I keep throwing. I keep throwing. If I keep throwing money at it, if I keep throwing the best things at it, it's going to fix it. And I think some of that is helpful. But before you start throwing stuff at it, have you looked to God? Have you brought it to God? Have you really thought, God, let me pray on this and pray on this situation and pray on this thing instead of me trying to throw more of everything at it? Now, I know Silicon Valley has distorted us. We think you need to have $1 billion to be rich. Here, well, you sort of do need $1 billion to afford to live here. I'm not wrong. But the reality is, for many of us, we live better than most Americans. And many of us have resources to throw at situations. And many of us, our first response is how much I can throw at a situation to figure it out. And I need to talk to you right now and say, before you start throwing the resources, you need to throw up the prayers. Because God might say, I need you to throw the resources, but you're throwing it behind you and he wants to throw it in front of you. So you might need to throw it, but you're throwing it in the wrong direction. It's profoundly powerful how we can take everything we have and throw it the wrong way. Throw it on hard soil instead of fertile ground. And you get frustrated at the end of it and wonder why God hasn't worked it out. Well, you didn't talk to him before you threw it on the concrete. You didn't talk to God. And the final thing, the wait is worth it. Our soul waits for the Lord. He's our help and our shield. For our heart is glad in him, because we trust in his holy name. Let your steadfast love, O Lord, be upon us, even as we hope it for you. One of the things God has really helped me with is a spirit of gratefulness. He's really helped me with that. He really has. Because I'll be honest with you, Sister Thorne, everything I thought that was going to happen when I first got here, none of it did. It really didn't work out the way I thought it would. But in the season of waiting, God worked on me, introduced me to all of you amazing people, allowed me to see life in beautiful ways that were unexpected. And I don't believe my wait is over. See, we're so busy trying to get to the finish line that the beauty of the wait is the things that God has put in your life while you're trying to wait to something that might never happen. I'm here to tell you that the beauty of the wait is that God will give you things that you never thought you needed, people you never thought you knew, things that didn't make sense. But when you take the journey with God, he starts opening your eyes and he starts showing you things and he starts introducing you to people. And it might not be what you envisioned, you dreamed, you promised yourself when you were younger or when you started off. But what it is it's a greater gift that God has given you. So when you sit in the season of waiting, you wonder, God, why can't I get to the finish line? I need to encourage you just to look to your left and to your right and look at the blessing that God is giving you during the season of waiting. It might not be what you expected. It might not be what you desire. It might not be what you hope. But right now, during this wait, you start seeing God's beautiful fingerprints in your life. And I just need somebody that has a grateful spirit for the journey that God is taking you on to give him praise. Because I know right now that even though I have got everything I want, even though I don't have everything I desire, I know that I am better off in the season of waiting than getting to the finish. The weight is lifted during the wait. He says it quite simply. His eyes on the why should I feel discouraged? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart be lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, my constant friend he is. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free. For his eye is on the sparrow, and I know he watches me.